Everyone. Just coming out on dump day 2 to talk about BTC Solana, total market cap, liquidity, where we think things might be going, trade ideas, that kind of stuff. So here's daily update. So first, liquidity is still pretty even on the 1 day. So sentiment's just mixed on BTC. Some people all over X right now saying buy, 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 buy. Other people are looking at it probably a little bit more cautiously, and you can sort of tell that when you look at the liquidity here. There's slightly more to the upside than the downside on the 1 day positions, so it means maybe a little bit more of a shift towards people shorting. 7 day, you can see bears pretty much lots of open shorts. And a lot of the longs that were open in the last 7 days have all been wiped out. And if we go up to 30 days, there's still a lot of those 30-day open positions are still there, but I'd say by now a lot of them are probably trapped. They could have been opened at higher prices and they're probably sitting in drawdown now. So that gives incentive for market makers to keep on pushing and not let them out. But obviously they're going to want to come and grab this at some point. So when that is, probably after they've taken as much of this as they are happy to take. SOL, 1 day, it's such an emotionally attached coin. Everyone has sort of gone all SOL's a shit coin again, and they're shorting it. But there's still people who are longing these levels down here with quite high leverage, and so nothing stops them coming down and just taking that before they bounce back up. When we look at 7 days, oh, she's refreshing slow. Oh no, we have a problem. Okay, there we go. So look at 7 days. You can see everyone is short. I'll show you some stuff later that kind of makes me think that they're probably going to take this very soon. There's not a lot of longs open that have been open for more than 7 days. And when you get to the 30 days, you've got this group down here. So it'd still be attractive to take that, but it's starting to really become more top heavy. So there's more up here if you want to pump up there and liquidate some shorts. So that's where our leverage is at the moment. And let's have a look at strength. So we've hit a weekly level on SOLBTC, so SOL should be gaining some strength now against BTC as we have a bit of a bounce there off the weekly hold level. We are creating a weekly hold level in a day's time up here, so that's going to mean that SOL's going to have some sort of negative downside against BTC at some time in the future when it comes back up to here. So it's never a straight line as far as strength. Money moves between the two of them. So at the moment we should see it moving into SOL, but later on there'll be that period where SOL just sits a bit dead while BTC goes up higher. And just on a shorter term view with today's daily close, it looks like it is possibly going to try and close underneath the 2-day trend unless that pulls back up. So if it does that, then SOL will get weak again. That's still got 2 hours to go before that close. This is not good. So this is your flight to safety assets. So it's your stables plus BTC. So grouped together because some people who are real crypto native, they're not going to put their money back into a stable coin. They're going to put it back into BTC. But what this basically means is bad for alts. It's breaking to the upside. However, it did start from below the range trend, so it hasn't actually got back into this higher range yet, so it could just roll over and come back down under there and break to the downside. So, but for now, you can kind of see why alts are really struggling, and the market's struggling in general because safer assets like stables are ranging up. In the sort of higher time frame view, we're still in these moves, so we've still got these lower sort of 150 levels to visit at some point. So I don't think we're going to reverse permanently from here, but I do think we might be about to do a bit of a short squeeze. And here we are on our monthly. So this is a 15-day play. to come down to 150. However, the play is not guaranteed because it has hit a trend, and the trend at some point it can't spend any more than 11 days trying to dive through that trend before it will retrace back up. And so you've sort of got to offset that against things like this, where you've hit a monthly support level and we're starting to move up. So we're on our 3rd hourly candle now, about to close. If we look at this from a lower time frame perspective, we're ranging. We're starting to range on our 15-minute. So we've got trends in here that we're breaking, and the price is starting to move up. So you've got a 15-day play trying to push down. But it's trying to push even through its own support trend. You've got a monthly which hasn't really got any trends in play, because it never. The reason you put these lines in here is that when this trend shifted from here to here, that's the date of creation. That line would represent the start of this candle. And if we look at that on a, say, 1 hour, just to keep it a little bit smaller, after the date of creation, we never actually revisited that top trend. And at the same time, we've not touched these bottom ones. So all we have is horizontal things in play on the monthly between there and there. And we could come back up to that trend. So it's realistic to say we could come back up to 189, 190, just purely off the touch of that. But it's also realistic to say that if we did do that, we can then reject all the way down here. So unless we can close over that, you don't really want to be hitting that trend really early in the month, because the way to break a trend is to position over it, open the next candle over it, and flip it into support. So if you hit that trend on the 2nd or 3rd day of the month, it's got to stay there before it can really close it. And that's how people get trapped in euphoric conditions. The price goes through these trends, and nearer the end of the month it just starts to roll over and come back down, and rejects off the underside and comes down, and all the longs are trapped. So just got to be careful about striking supports or resistances too early in the time frame. But for now, we're ranging off this, so that's a good thing. Let's have a look what BTC is up to. So BTC is still trying to come down and retest this on the monthly. It's rejected off, and that's exactly what I just talked about. It goes through it, stays over it. As the month draws to an end, it pulls back down underneath it. All of those people who were long in that top level up there around 123, they're well and truly trapped in those longs now. Well and truly, if not liquidated. So now, more sort of lower time frame, or more current time frame stuff, I suppose I should say. It looks like we are going to lose the daily. So it's the origin daily from here in the 70s. So there's a couple of things that can happen here. It can pull back up over that trend in the next 2 hours. That would be bullish. That'd be good. And then it can run up and maybe try to hit the inverse, like a level like that. It'll probably still just reject. But it can give it a shot. It got really close to the retest of this level here, but didn't quite retest it. You can sometimes get $100, $200 deviation on BTC, so that might represent the retest. It's a bit hard to say, but there's other timeframes in play where the retests are down here. So like these 110 levels, which are 3-week levels and weekly levels, not just daily levels. So there's bigger picture stuff to say that it's not over. Okay. Like this. So it looks like we're probably going to lose the 2-day trend today, and I can't see that pulling all the way back up into there in the next 2 hours. Been wrong before, but that would be quite a move to get back up inside there in the next 2 hours. So if we lose the 2-day, first thing is the trend shifts. So partly with both the daily and the 2-day, it's not just a case of losing a trend, it's how badly do you lose the trend. Like, if the buying pressure continues from now and this comes up, and even if it stays around here, the trend moves to there. Now, when the new one opens on the other side of the trend, it can dive it and then go up, and it's got 2 days to do that, so it can sweep the liquidity, which is a common thing you'll see on a trend before a big pump. It'll hit a trend, sweep it, come back up within the time frame of the candle. So 2 days means we have 2 days of nasty, then it comes back up within that 2 days, and then it takes off. It's actually quite bullish that we never swept any of the liquidity above here. So when we created this resistance up here and we rejected off it, the fact that we didn't go through it and take all of that stuff that was up to the top side is actually a very bullish sign. So although it's been doing this, if it was going into like a hardcore bear market, it would have gone up here, done a sweep, and then dumped. So what you would expect, therefore, is that at the time of reversal, we're probably going to get the opposite, which is going to be some kind of sweep and then the pump. So you'll be pretty hard pressed to convince me that it's over, but I can see that it looks like it might nearly be over. And some bigger picture stuff. You've got some range trends coming through here. They haven't touched them. They also haven't closed under them. And I get the funny impression that it probably, because this is weekly, it probably will stay above here for the week before it actually comes down to do the sweep and then go. And this is sort of some of the higher time frame areas you could look at for BTC targets, like actually probably up around that the high 130s, 140s for a starting point, even if it went there in a straight line, which it won't. Realistically, if you think of normal cycles ending, they're probably going to end somewhere around September, October if it's a normal cycle, and that's kind of about 150. I think there's a lot of people. It's a number. It's a magic number. If we start to see numbers like 150K on Bitcoin, I imagine a lot of people are going to sell. So that could trigger the end of the cycle. But that's where that's sitting. As for SOL, SOL's definitely going to lose the daily. It's too far under. In fact, it's pretty much already lost the daily. It's just got a hard close. The only way this would not lose the daily is if that entire candle actually flips into being a yellow candle or accumulation candle. So you can see it's still within the range. This is your range trend here. So you've got your range, you've got accumulation to accumulation. That's what's stopped it. It's right there. And so it's a positive thing that it's staying within this range. But it doesn't look like it's finished. This trend will move there, and we'll be above that trend. We'll still be within that range. If you then get a little bit of a move up and then a sweep down and then a pump, that would all be pretty normal stuff. So we could reverse from here. It's hard to say. There's still plenty of liquidity to grab down here. And again, there's your 2-day close for the day. So the 2-day is pulling back up over the trend at the moment. Like I say, 2 hours to go, so it could still come down. But it appears at this stage that it looks like it's putting itself into a sweep position. It's broken the bottom of the range, so it's worked through the break of the range there. It's taken some liquidity from under the trend. We might get a move up and then a sweep down and then a final move. There's usually always a dip after the dip, and that's just because a lot of people long the dip. I've got it right, and then the market takes their positions, or the high level ones anyway, average ones. So overall, this is looking like we're nearly at some kind of substantial bottom. And a lot of that is because, guess what, we hit a monthly level. So monthly levels are big. That's where a lot of the big money sits. The monthly range trend that we've never ever managed to close over is sitting up here. Now that's about 179, and that's why I see a bit of confluence with the liquidity right now. If we look back to what's our liquidity? If we look back to our liquidity, our 1 day is up to this sort of 165, 168. That would be in line with the 3-day move that we have pending, which takes us to 166. And when we look at this, on the 30-day, we have a large amount of liquidity up here, around that 175 sort of area. And even if we look at it from this perspective, you can see there's a large amount up here. So if we look at where liquidity sits and we look at the moves that market makers have based on just their normal sort of algorithmic patterns, hitting that monthly level and taking all that liquidity up into the 170s is a pretty smart play. Up into here and then maybe down to finish off some of those other moves. So I guess we'll see what happens. We might get that Sunday pump to take all that and down. Maybe we get continuation, but it's not very common that you'll see a monthly play sustain a move straight from its entry like this. Like last time we did a monthly play, and probably just very quickly show you that. So last time we did a monthly play, it was about $100 level, and if you look at it from this perspective, it was down here. That was our monthly entry, and you can see it went down below it. So inside the monthly, you have structure. Inside there, you have a weekly, which was down here. Okay. And as you can see, it went down into the weekly. So if we put our little replay tool on there, look at this on a lower time frame. I need to fix the sensitivity of my scroll wheel. So you got some bounces off the monthly level before eventually it just went boom and just dumped down, hit the weekly part, and that's where the true reversal came from. So it's not hugely common to bounce and make a major reversal straight off the top of a high time frame level. It will normally look for something lower down. So to put that in perspective with what we are in now, here's our monthly level. We're having this bounce off it. Here's our weekly level inside of it. And there's a little fake daily level of that. So what I mean by that is we never quite touched it down here. Never quite touched it. So it's more realistic that this bounce is not a sustainable bounce. And it will take some liquidity that's up in here, and then it will drive down to something like this or this that's down inside here. So that's what you just got to be a little bit careful of if you're taking this position now, is that you could find that it ends up coming back down here before you get the true reversal out of the monthly. All right, so totals still just rejecting. So that's a monthly break level rejection on the total. It's probably going to come down here. So yeah, once it's sort of all, when you put all this in Confluence, what you sort of see is that, okay, we might bounce up, we might take some liquidity, but it would just kind of be bouncing in thin air if it bounced from there. Looks like we're going to close under the 2-day break level today in about 2 hours. So unless that comes back up into that range, we'll probably close under there. In which case we may retest it. That could be our little bounce rally to take that liquidity and then down to retest these untested levels here. So that's actually on the trend, so it doesn't technically break the trend. So the next candle could test these levels, then continue bouncing back up for 4 days and maybe break out to new highs. So when you start putting all that in Confluence, it sort of says that 2-day level might have a little retrace. The 4-day level probably won't get broken unless something actually stays down for another 4 days. So somewhere between 2 and 4 days, we should probably sweep liquidity in both directions and then bounce like that. So this is adding Confluence. We created this 3-day range trend through here yesterday on the 3-day close. So if it pulls back up into that trend, which it really should do, pulls back up into there and bounces off the top of it, then it would look to target something up here around 175, and that's kind of in line with what that monthly bounce should bring. If they maintain the sell pressure and actually get this thing to close underneath, then yeah, it would just be a continuation of the dump, really. So that's and there has been a bit of that going on. It's just been pushing through levels and not retesting them, etc. So whoever is dumping the market to grab the liquidity is in a bit of a hurry to do it, that's for sure. And I've got SOL just sitting right here on the 2-day trend. It could open the next candle below at this stage and dump, or it could push back up inside and give you the little relief rally, then dive. And that's just some 8-hour stuff. So yeah, we had an 8-hour origin level here, which we've bounced off. So just scalps. If you dive through these kind of levels and you hit a higher time frame level, you're probably going to retrace back up. So that was just a scalp I took earlier in the day. So hopefully that gives people a bit of an idea about what I'm looking at. See, this is probably not a bad thing to show you, really. This is kind of what I am looking at when it comes to things like reversals. So time arrayed trends, we cannot properly reverse until we actually start to form the appropriate components. So we have a hold level, we have a range, we need to hit this hold level, we need to hit this break level. So you'd be marking out levels like this and placing alerts on them. And until we actually hard close a 4-hour candle above 165, we haven't even got the ability to reverse on a 4-hour time frame. That sort of gives you a bit of an idea about the kind of things that I'd be keeping an eye on. I've actually moved that, so I might have moved that trend to the. It was there. I think I might have moved that to the hourly. So there's your 4-hour, and then you can come down to your 1 hour like this. Relocate your trend to find the actual 1-hour trend, which is there. So that's our 1-hour exterior. Fix that scroll wheel sensitivity. And there's your interior. And it looks like if we keep going up, we'll break that interior shortly. And then we're going to target this 1-hour hold here, that 1 hour there. So that gets us back into the 160s. So as long as it doesn't reject off the backside of these trends, and as long as it can keep closing these candles, then it's probably a realistic thing to say that they're going to go for that liquidity sweep before maybe we go down and see the weekly level. So we'll see how it plays out. That's all I got for today, really. Take something from that, and yeah, have a great day. Like, subscribe. We're still trying to get to 500 subscribers there on YouTube. Follow on Twitter too, because I do post a wee bit of stuff out on Twitter, or X as they call it now. But yeah, and feel free to jump into the Discord that we're in, and there's some very smart people in there, and you can ask some questions and probably get presented with a bunch of cat memes. So yeah, see you all again later.